Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 premiere. I've been waiting for this, so we're going to get right to it. Let's talk about it. All right, so we're going to get right into it. We're talking about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This is a new animation property set up by Marvel. This doesn't seem in any way connected to the MCU, as more of it's its own thing. Like whatever they decided to do with this really kind of seemed like it made its own, and it really took all the stuff that you know and love from the comics and started popping all that stuff forward with all the Easter eggs, the characters they're bringing in. And for 2 episodes only being dropped, it's a lot. Like they put a lot of good stuff in here for you to catch. So again, it starts off where you got Peter, he's late for school, and they're trying to figure out, what's going on with him. Is he already Spider-Man or not? What's the deal? Basically, we see Aunt May kind of doing her thing, and we get a mention of Uncle Ben, which again, we didn't really get that too much with the new Spider-Man because again, Uncle Ben's, death was kind of played over and over again, and people were tired of the origin. We know what it is. But the fact is that he was actually mentioned here, and he has been mentioned in a few years in terms of the actual MCU Spider-Man, which is something I didn't expect to have right off the bat. And it really made notice of it, even with Aunt May's ring, still wearing her ring, and you see it kind of gleam when Ben's name is mentioned. It shows that they're paying attention to characters, their backstories, and kind of really trying to bring all that stuff forward while not rehashing too much of the stuff we've seen time and time again. So that's a plus. We see a little Iron Man hanging from the rearview mirror. So that lets me know there's an Iron Man in this universe somewhere at some point in time. There is an Iron Man. Because in the first episode, as we get Peter just trying to get to school, we immediately see this Venom-looking creature fall out of a portal with Doctor Strange chasing him. Absolutely fantastic. Strange is scrapping with him. This is Peter's first day of orientation. And during this fight, we actually see the spider from whatever universe is from hanging out. So when Doctor Strange finally subdues the beast and gets back to the portal, spider is left. Spider bites Peter. Bam. Now we have Spider-Man. So that's his whole origin as far as how he gets it. And we kind of fast forward and clean things up to where it's a few months later and he's rocking and rolling as Spider-Man and kind of doing his thing. So right now I'm going to praise them for, again, we're speaking storyline. We're not dragging our feet. We know it's about Spider-Man. We know it's his first years and whatever's going on. We're getting to the nitty-gritty and actually having some real life, actions and consequences happening for Peter while he is Spider-Man. So glad to see it. In the process of this, he eventually ends up running into Harry. And if you were paying attention, you already saw a kind of a scene from where Spider-Man, they're going to do a lot of homages to the comics and stuff. Notice the suit that Harry is wearing. It's a green suit, right? If you look at the cover of the Amazing Fantasy, where Spider-Man first, really debuted in his kind of own right, he's carrying somebody in a similar suit. So when he actually saves Harry, you see him save him in that same kind of stance. So again, they're paying attention to the comics. It's good stuff. But something different I definitely see in this world is you pay attention, like straight up, they're trying to rob Harry for some money. Like they need money for whatever reason, they're going after him. Later on, we see Peter, he ends up stopping a girl who robbed a local pizza store. And she was hard for cash. She said she saw the money and she panicked and she grabbed it because she's hard up and she's trying to deal with stuff. So people's status, their socioeconomic status, the stuff that they're dealing with, all that stuff is prevalent in this universe. Even when we meet, a character later on, we see the same things, which I'll get to. Everything that's going on, and we got a cast of characters that are coming in with this. Again, you have Pearl making her debut. You've got Lonnie. But then again, if you know some characters, Pearl, she's a character known as Wave with some water powers, stuff like that. We see that Peter's got a crush on her. This used to be his babysitter back in the day. We got Nico Minoru. She's got some mystical powers. Think kind of Doctor Strange type stuff. You've got Lonnie Lincoln, which is dating Pearl. Lonnie Lincoln, if you know, eventually becomes Tombstone. So again, he's made his debut. We've already got Harry Osborn, who shows up. We got Norman Osborn. which you've seen in the trailers and stuff. So he's present. And then we got various other characters that, again, are just kind of popping in as we're going along throughout the show. So, again, it's great to see. This entire series is really, that's the word I'm looking for. Like they're doing good. They're doing their own thing. They got really good animation. It's a nice little mix of like cell shaded animation. It looks really clean, but again, it's its own thing. And again, it feels decently paced. Like it's not too rushed, but it's enough to get the story moving. I don't know how many episodes they're going to do. I think they're going to do somewhere between 8 and 10 episodes. But again, I'm feeling it, and I'm excited about it. Spider-Man's showing off his abilities. Again, he does his classic car save where he gets in front of it and stops the car from, running over a bus. So again, that's great to see. We see some more. We see some of the classic villains from other properties that are making their way in. Besides just the future Tombstone, if he's going to turn in this, era or this universe or not, remains to be seen. We've got, what else we got going on? Not sure if they're going to do anything with Mary Jane yet. As we mentioned, Nico is kind of his best friend and his wingman. It's obviously that Nico and Peter both had a crush on Pearl, so that's kind of part of their friendship when they first met, because he did, go to bat for her and make sure that the monster didn't get her distracted it long enough for Doctor Strange to do his thing. But with all that's going on, Peter's suit, it's a hodgepodge of, a bunch of different, cables, cords, and tanks and stuff. And he's doing his best to make it work with what he's got. And it's fantastic to see. Again, he's trying to make it work from bare bones minimum. And again, this is part of the struggle with the status. Again, he ain't got a lot of money. He found a DVD player and got super excited. It was in the trash. Like, this is brand new. Like, I'm going to use this. So again, he's making do with what he got, which is something we've always known about Peter. Peter's been great for kind of being the everyman, trying to figure out how to make ends meet and just get through the day. But he gets his big break when Norman Osborn shows up and was like, hey, yo, I want to give you an internship that will change his life. And he says he takes care of his people. And that's kind of how the first episode ends. But we got a two episode drop. Well, the second episode, this is where it kind of steps up, because Peter is definitely glad to get on the internship and see what's going on, because again, he's already felt defeated when he finds out that Lonnie is dating Pearl and he didn't get a chance to ask. So this is kind of his next big break and something that he's able to do. And Lonnie's not actually a bad guy. He's actually becoming kind of cool with Lonnie. So it works. All these relationships definitely have to play a factor when we start seeing characters make their turns for whatever reason they're making their turns. Because Lonnie seems like a really good guy right now. He's doing his best to take care of his family, help his little brother's homework, taking a look at his mom's car and the alternator, so that see if they can save some money, but not having to go in. He's a star quarterback, so he's dating one of the girls that a lot of people are going after. Like, he's living a freaking life. So again, seeing his turn at some point in time when he becomes Tombstone, so that it's going to be really interesting to see how they play it up and what happens as far as his mental state. But again, and he's been dealing with a lot because he was just trying to go home. He was profiled by an older lady, an older white lady, who profiled him as he was getting on the bus. The cops were looking at him as he was just walking down the street, wasn't doing nothing, but he wasn't in the best neighborhood either. So again, there's people running around, those breaking stuff. You hear car alarms, everything going off in the background. Like, his family is in a rough area. So this is kind of some of the things that, have gone along or been commonly associated with those kind of things. So again, his character arc is going to be interesting to see. And that's the thing. I'm invested in more than just Peter. I'm invested in these other characters and their arcs and how they're going to turn out with whatever it is they do. And I'm glad that they've actually put thought into these characters to make them interesting, to give them focus and stuff like that. It's not just about freaking Peter, because Peter realizes it's not just about him. He talks to his guys when he, talked about the girl and try to keep the pizza guy from pressing charges because she was just hard up for money with that. again, he knows that they're going through stuff. He knows that, he's doing his best to help them. That's something Peter's always been strong with. So I'm glad to see it here. And it's been part of his nature since he was young. So again, you're getting all of that. But as he sees these other characters, when he comes in and he gets the internship at the lab, we see Amadeus Cho, who's up in there, who's going to go learn robotics, which if you know anything about Amadeus Cho, again, he's had those Hulk powers and stuff like that, and he uses the nanobots and stuff to kind of do that. So him being in robotics makes sense. You got Asha. She's there from Wakanda. So we have a Wakandan character here. She actually has powers of light absorption. So having all that stuff is going to come into play, and she's going to work in the aerospace division. And you got Jean. All right, Jean is not Jean Grey. All right, Jean is someone who has super high intelligence. So think Taskmaster. She has the ability to like watch movies or read books, whatever, and watch different things and learn just by watching. And she's able to replicate, duplicate, do these different things like that with very little minimal effort. Like it's literally second nature to her. It's practically osmosis. Like she just looks at something, watches it done one time, and she learns how to do it. So she eventually becomes someone called Finesse and uses her powers to do the things she does. She's more or less like an assassin type character. And they're all being schooled by the one in charge that Norman Osborn put in charge. Remember, and Nico warned Peter about Norman. He didn't get where he's not, where he's at without, doing some dirty things. He had to have done something. And that's when we see he employs a guy named Whitman. If you pay attention, Whitman is actually someone called the Wizard. And with him being the Wizard, he's one of the classic enemies of the Fantastic Four. He's like a genius level engineer and master of disguise. So the way he's looking right now, he may not look like that in future episodes. He may be wearing a disguise, or he may change up, and that could be his original appearance. I don't know. I do know that he has a nut allergy, though. That is something that may come into play at some point in time. But we also see Dr. Connors, but instead of Kurt Connors, it's Carla Connors. She's missing the arm and everything, and she's part of the energy research, which is the division that Parker gets sent into. So with him being sent in there, he's going to be working very closely with Connors, which we know was a thing with him in the comics, that he worked very closely with Connors. So he learned to care about Connors. And, again, when Connors goes through transformation into the Lizard, he does his best to calm him. In this case, we'll be calming her, get her, relax, whatever, get her changed back so that, and try to help her. So, we got a slew of characters, a crazy cast of characters. I think we'll eventually going to have like a team up at some point with some of these characters, or you're going to have like some of the good guys or some of the bad guys, whatever they decide to do. But overall, again, setting up the casting is pretty good. They even got a guy named Butane. He has been a classic villain of Captain Britain, I think, for quite a while. So he was in here. He's more obscure, kind of, just there, but he's there. Peter does a save, but him going to go stop Butane, in between his breaks of working with Dr. Connors, is what's get him found out by Norman Osborn, who has cameras everywhere and has a camera in the stairwell where Peter changed into his his Spider-Man costume from being Peter Parker, and got caught by Norman Osborn, who called him to the office and says, "You're Spider-Man." And that's how this, the first two episodes end. Absolutely fantastic. I love this show so far. Definitely give it 9 out of 10. Again, I don't want to give it a perfect score yet. We'll see if the series is perfect score. I got to see how it goes throughout the rest of the season. They're going to be dropping a couple episodes per week into February. I think it'll actually end maybe right around or right after when Captain America Brave New World drops. So keep an eye out for that. I'll definitely be covering all the episodes, much because you can tell I am a Spider-Man fan with everything that I have. So I definitely want to keep up with all of this, especially with my last name being Parker. It's poetic. So, hey, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the show? Where do you think they're going to go with this? What do you think this end game? Right now is Norman Osborn. Is somebody else going to come into play? Is Norman Osborn just to start? We've seen the future Foundation suits in some of the trailers. We've seen some other suits. I saw him sketching out his classic suit in the Notebook. So how many variations of suit are we going to get from Peter? Is Norman going to fund some of his stuff and allow him to do what he does? is we got Doctor Strange there. If Norman knows now, so that will he continue to know for the future? Will he not disclose anything? Will Doctor Strange come back and rectify what's going on with the spider that came in and bit Peter and come and investigate to see what's going on? There's a bunch of different questions that can be asked as far as what some of these characters are going to do and how things are going to transpire. So again, 2 episodes in, I'm excited. I want to see what's going on. I hope you're excited as well. If you are, please hit that lovely red subscribe button. Make sure you're tuned into the channel. We are very happy to have you as always. And this has just been a fantastic journey and experience so far with everything that I've been doing with Geek Variants. It's the start of the year, and I'm looking forward to another great year with all of you people. So by all means, please stick around, hang out, talk, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.